2020 has been a historic year. It's a life-changing year for many of us and a traumatic experience for some of us. But thank God most of us made it out to 2021. However, there are more problems coming on in 2021. We have still trade war, still nations can't get along, and still coronavirus just doesn't want to leave us alone. It still lingers on while the vaccine is being pushed out. However, the virus is also making a change in its mutation. Anyways, it's been a tough year in 2020, and hopefully in 21 we will have a better beginning. So about my story is that I had my daughter in 2020. It was extremely difficult because I was scared every time we make a visit to the hospital. I was so afraid of the pandemic, I actually moved my entire family to Taiwan, where the virus is contained here. I mean, most people don't even wear a mask when they go out, so it's safe. So luckily, my entire time here, I didn't have to worry about getting infected because the infected rate here has been kept to about 1 to 2 people a week. As for working for money-wise, I have been sitting on the sideline for almost a year. I mean, I did some trading and investments and stuff like that, but you know, it's not real work. And it's 21, so I should be starting to look for work now. So I'm in trouble by this dilemma that if I go to China or Singapore or whatever to work, I will be quarantined and I will be stuck in a hotel. And if I don't take my family, I am like guaranteed to not see my baby for at least 2 months, right? So if I want to bring her with me, that's a hassle, and the pandemic isn't over yet, so it's not that safe. So my problem is that I'm afraid that if I leave her too long, she's not gonna remember me, and I will be missing out on just maybe half a year or a few months of her memory. But to me, that's a lot. You know, I want to be with her daily if I could. So due to this, I started to look up on information about infants and baby or young child memories. Like, when do they start to remember things? When does long-term memory start? So I look on a lot of sources, you know, with famous schools and medical center like Harvard Medical School and Stanford and all the good stuff. And this is what I found, and I want to share with you guys. And just any one of your parents out there that's thinking about the same thing or worrying about the same thing, that you have to go away without bringing your family with you because the pandemic, this might help. That babies enjoy a dramatic increase in the ability to remember people and things between 8 and 12 months of age. But this is only short term. So for long-term memory to kick in, according to an article in Harvard, it takes 14 months. Okay, 14 months. And there was a study conducted by one of the doctors. So they introduced 3 groups of children, 9 months, 17 months, and 24 months old, to a series of distinct experiences, including making a rattle by putting a plastic ring through a slot into a bottle, then shaking the bottle. 4 months later, he revisited the same kid and gave them the same toy. For the most part, the 9-month-old, now 1 year and 1 month old, Okay, before it's 9 months, so 4 months later is 13 months old. Okay, didn't remember what to do with the toy. However, the baby that were 17 months old and 24 months old, now 21 months and 28 months old, they show robust memory of what to do with the object, which is quite incredible, because I don't even think as an adult, if somebody show me an exercise like that and ask me to repeat it 4 months later, I seriously might not remember. Okay, so they interpreted that this means that at 9 months old, the human brain is too immature to firmly register experiences. However, at 17 months and 21 months, it's developed enough records and retrievable memories of a single distinctive experiences. Okay, so does this mean that infants younger than 8 months old to a year old doesn't learn anything from mom and dad reading, playing? No, of course. Most single experience before the age of a month, they are emotional or painful or joyful, but it will be very hard for them to remember it. But it's definitely in there somewhere deep in their brain. Okay, just that it's very hard for them to retrieve that memory unless you're like Lucy, right? Using your memory, using your brain at a higher capacity, or you have a high IQ that would give you that ability to use your brain. For example, like the guy who registered an IQ of 195, he began to talk at 7 months old. He will definitely be able to remember it, but not us. Not the regular baby, unfortunately. So not too long ago, in the 1940s and 50s, most psychologists believed that newborn mind was a blank state, and child manipulate things and see the result. Those experiences fill the slate or the scribble that become long-term memory. This popular point of view held that you could teach any kid anything. Okay, that was very optimistic and wrong. Okay, so in Asia, especially in where they have very competitive education system like Hong Kong, Korea, and China, Taiwan. I'm going to talk about Hong Kong in particular. They actually start the education while the baby is still in the womb, still in the mother's womb. They start to read English and let them listen to all kinds of music, even TED Talk, and thinking somehow the information will get into the child's memory. So let me repeat the funding by the Harvard report. That was optimistic, liberal, extreme, and wrong. So stop it. But I do play music, for my baby when my baby was in the womb, and I think that helps to calm them down, using sound waves and stuff like that. But I'm sure they didn't learn anything other than enjoying the music. Alright, so that's what I found. So there's another study, okay, I want to go over that. The researcher recruited 12 9-month-old and an equal number of 17 and 24-month-old from middle-class family in Boston. And he went to their home and demonstrated different games to the kid. For example, load the truck, put the driver in the driver's seat of the toy truck, and put a small rock in the truck bed, and then roll the truck. And then the researcher repeated the sequence several times, then encouraged the children to imitate what was done. He did this for 3 separate games, and then he went away and come back 4 months later. Now, who can play the game? At these later sessions, the game were not demonstrated to the youngster, but they were encouraged to play with them by themselves. Each child was challenged by 3 games she or he had played before, and 2 Nova games. Now, the now 13-month-old have behaved as they have never played such a game before. They did as poorly on the familiar games as they did on the Nova games. The 21-month and the 28-month-old, in contrast, showed a strong recollection for the games they had played. They performed significantly better on the familiar sequence than on the Nova ones. So that's very important, right? So the 21-month-old, which is 2 years old, right? Almost 2 years old, shows strong recollection of the game. Now the researcher also tested children who never played any of the game before, as a means to make sure that the sequence was not something baby might pick up naturally. Now the 21 and the 28 months old control group showed no skill at playing any of the games, as expected. So the conclusion is that we propose that memory enhancement, or the lack of it, is due to brain development between the age of 9 and 17 months old. The researchers said this result and the result was published on October 31 in the issue of Scientific Journal Nature. The researcher sees one particle application for the research. Many families in the United States are adopting babies, particularly from other countries. New parents often worry about whether the adoptees will have problems adjusting to the new homes and culture. If the baby were younger than 8 months old, they have no lasting memory of what happened to them, unfortunately, the researcher pointed out, and the transition will be less disruptive and bonding will be much easier for children under 1 year old. So I hope the finding has helped you as much as it helped me. So based on this research, that I will not be leaving my baby separated from me, because I want her to have all the good memory of her daddy. So when I get old, she will still love me more than her husband. That's the game plan. So yes, I will be taking her with me because she's starting to get long-term memories, and I want all of her long-term memory to include her loving father. I hope this information find you well, and thank you for listening.